I wanted to learn more about him. I wanted to know where he was from, how he became a guy who moved toward baseball. And he reached into his locker and he took out a shoebox. And I wish I had a shoebox here right now. I'm not a props guy, but I wish I had a shoebox. Think of the top of the shoebox. And he showed me how he cut a hole in the top of the shoebox and then slipped his hand in there. And that was his glove. We take so much for granted. When we were kids, we had a baseball glove. We had all the equipment we needed. He said he was excited to use that as his glove. They would take an old tennis ball and they'll wrap some tape around it. And that's how the greatest closer of all time began his baseball career, with a glove that was basically a cardboard shoebox.
And all of that made him who he was. I think that's why he maintained the perspective that he always had and his humility that he always had, because of those beginnings.
No doubt about it, Bob. There are a lot of players in Major League Baseball who will talk about family and will talk about reading the Bible and quoting biblical passages. I saw Mariano Rivera reading the Bible in the clubhouse. I saw him leading Bible class studies with his teammates. What he said is what he did. He was a guy who talked the talk, walked the walk. What I always enjoyed about him, too, Bob, is sometimes you're on deadline and you're rushing to ask questions and you're moving from player to player, and you don't always get to know some of these guys. When you interviewed Mariano Rivera, it was more of a conversation than an interview. It was an education. He was a guy who would tell you why he was doing certain things with pitches, tell you why he was approaching a certain batter in that way. And I always remember that you walked away from him feeling as if you learned a lot more before the conversation ever started.